Hey guys, welcome back to the beginner lesson series. In these next few videos, we are going to be looking at some basic open chords, but we're going to be adding some color tones to it. We're not going to be discussing necessarily the theory behind it and what chord does it become when we do when we remove one note and add another note. That stuff's important and valuable, but I think more important than that is just kind of being creative, exploring different sounds, and the sound itself, right? Just kind of learning what sounds we can get from the instrument with some basic knowledge. You don't have to know everything on the neck. Just some traditional open chords can get you a long way. There's a lot to explore over here. So what we're going to do, we'll do it in chord pairs in each video. So for this one, we're going to do C and G. More or less just holding our standard fingerings that you would see in most chord books, and then kind of looking at it, saying what fingers can we move, what sounds can we get, right? This is not going to be exhaustive. We're kind of restricting what we can do just to start the process, but yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless, especially when you start incorporating more than just two chords. Okay, so first chord, C major. The goal here is going to be to move as little as possible and just kind of find notes that we have easy access to. So this is not going to be completely exhaustive by any means, but just giving you some quick options to play around with based off of chord shapes that you're already familiar with, right? So I'm just going to kind of work from string 1 and go up, and we'll have several different possibilities here and plenty for you to play around with. So I'll just call those notes out as I'm adding them. So on string 1, I'm going to put finger 4, my pinky, on string 1 fret 3, which is a G. So it's just changing that top note. It's not a different note because that note belongs to a C major chord. So it doesn't sound necessarily like colorful, but different top note than our standard C major chord. Then on string 2, I can put my pinky on string 2 fret 3. That's a D note there. Very nice sound. Chord that gets used a lot. I'm strumming through all 5 strings here. Like I said, that's a way that you could vary it up where maybe you don't include string 1, or there's so many ways that you can modify this, but we're keeping it simple in that regard. So, okay. And also on string 2, I can lift my index finger and play that open B. So on string 2, several options there. Okay. Okay, and then on string 3, I could put my pinky on string 3 fret 3. That's a B flat. Turns it into a C7 chord, which is going to be a very particular sound, and maybe have a little bit more of a dissonant or discordant sound to it, but dominant 7 chords are all over the place in music. And I could also lift my middle finger here and place it on string 3 fret 2, and that's an A note. So another point to make here is these don't have to be strummed as chords necessarily. You can just throw in just a single note. So you're creating a single line riff around a chord, or it can be strummed as a chord. And then on string 4, so the last string we're going to go to on the C chord, I can again throw my pinky on string 4 fret 3. That's an F note. Great sound. And I can lift both my pinky and middle fingers off and play that open D. So we've got a ton of options here, right? Majority of these are being taken care of by the pinky or an open string. So we have a couple in there where we're lifting a finger. Only one where we're moving one of these fingers to another string. and that's the middle finger going to string 3 fret 2. So string 1 fret 3, string 2 fret 3, string 2 open, string 3 fret 2, string 3 fret 3, string 4 open, string 4 fret 3. So I'm kind of enforcing that I'm holding these fingers down the entire time. Like if I go here and put my pinky on string 4 fret 3, I'm holding that down. But it just depends on what you're doing. Maybe you need it, maybe you don't. You always want your hand to have as little tension as possible. And of course, if you have more fingers down, you might be a little bit tighter with that left hand. But it just depends on if you're going to travel to that note. I wouldn't necessarily always play that chord with that middle finger down. Just a side note, things to think about. These are little details that can play a bigger role than you think in terms of moving around chords. Okay, next chord is G. I'm using basically standard fingering here, but I'm not going to put my index finger on string 5 fret 2. I'm just going to mute that. So I have finger 2 on string 6 fret 3 and finger 3 on string 1 fret 3, and that's really it. And then strings 4, 3, and 2 are open. That's going to give me a little bit more versatility in terms of where I can go with this index finger, and I'm also trying to keep it consistent for you guys, so I'm not changing the fingering too much, right? So I'll play my G chord like that quite a bit, but I think the G chord in open position is probably one of the most versatile. There's just so many things that you can do with it. So again, not going to be exhaustive. I'm going to try and keep it within that fingering, and you'll have tons of options just with that. So, okay, we got G, so we can lift that ring finger and put our index finger on string 1 fret 2. That's an F sharp note. If I stretch this back, that would be like a G7 chord, but I'm just going to leave that out because I think everybody probably is familiar with a G7 chord. And then if I just leave string 1 open, play that open E. Great sounds there, especially with that note on top. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put ring finger back on string 1 fret 3. We're going to skip string 2 and come back to that because that's where we have to kind of rearrange our fingers a little bit. So a couple quick ones here is the index can grab string 3 fret 2, A. And the index can also go to string 4 fret 2. So that index finger can do quite a lot. Really the only one I want to point out, like this string 2 fret 3, that's a note that belongs to the G chord, so we can totally make use of that, but you might already be familiar with that, like playing a G chord this way. The main one I want to point out is string 2 fret 1, where I would probably use fingers 3 and 4 here on string 6 and 1, and then index finger on string 2 fret 1. Alright, so string 2 fret 1 there, where I had to kind of rearrange, because you wouldn't want to necessarily do it like that unless it's a real quick transition. Okay, so again, string 1, we have fret 3, fret 2, and open. Going to put my ring finger back on, and we've got string 3 fret 2 and string 4 fret 2, and then that last one I added was string 2 fret 1. So lots of sounds to explore there. Now let's see if we can come up with something with it and just kind of play around with these. You don't want to use too many, right? I mean, really you just need a couple of notes, and you'll be able to generate some movement within the chord. Just with 2 chords, you can come up with a nice kind of a chord riff or hook that could function as, for a verse or chorus or part of a verse or chorus. So let's see what we come up with. So there, I really was just using the 4th string, right, to create all that movement and to kind of connect the C and the G chord. See if we can come up with one more. So on that one, I changed my fingering just a little bit, and that's something that you'll, adapt to when you find a sound that you like, and you go, just kind of move that left hand around and find different ways to get to notes that you're looking for. So I was just using that fingering that I used for G, but I did that same thing for my C chord. So for the G, I was using that string 4 fret 2 and string 3 fret 2, and then keeping that string 3 fret 2 on. It's a real pretty chord. And then for my C chord, I had string 2 fret 3 added on, and then I would go to string 2 open. And when you account for rhythm, and how you want it to groove, it's even more infinite, if that's possible. So hopefully that gives you guys some creative inspiration, some things to explore in familiar territory there. There is a lot that you can do in open position. There's a ton of songs that are played in open position. Just so many sounds that you can draw from the guitar. And it's ideal to add something new that is linked to something that you already know. I see it often with students wanting to jump from one thing to another, and that are not connected, and it can make it hard to retain information that way. This gives you a ton of sounds that you're not necessarily defining them by the chord name, but that's okay. You'll learn that in time, but it's giving you so many more options than just your standard C chord, standard G chord. And we will touch on a couple other pairs of chords, at least in some follow-up videos. So hope you guys have fun with it. Let me know if you have any questions, and see you in those next 2 videos. Thanks, bye.